throughout the broadcast today. Only thing missing now is tip-off. Ethan Happ, the all-everything forward for Wisconsin, takes it center for the Badgers against Xavier Pearts for Grambling State. And we are underway. Wisconsin put up 100 points on December 13th against Savannah State. Looking for another offensively charged performance here today.
Chris, different from last game. Savannah State didn't have a guy over 6'7", two guys on Grambling State that are 7 foot. They're going to rotate on Ethan Happ. Interesting early on to see how they're going to defend him.
There's Dimitri Trice with the step back and the bucket.
There's Dimitri Trice's development of being able to get the ball in a position where he wouldn't have been able to get that bucket last year. Created space on the step back, rising up above and knocking it down.
He's been the breakout star for the Wisconsin Badgers this year. His scoring has taken a lot of pressure off Ethan Happ to do everything, as was the case, it felt like, a lot of times last year for the Badgers. Ivy Smith Jr. nearly got caught in mid-air. He dishes to Devontae Jackson, who missed the scoop shot, and there's an offensive rebound for Grambling.
You can already tell the size of Grambling having an impact early on. Getting to the rim, didn't finish Devontae Jackson, but Peart getting a second chance opportunity for this team.
Dallas Polk Hilliard off the mark from three. Now, this is a Grambling State team that doesn't shoot quite as much as Savannah State. You had that game a couple of days ago, Ben. There's Greg Gard. He said his team was a little bit foggy at practice yesterday, again, coming off the layover because of exams, and you know all about that.
Chris, the building's full, but I can't overstate the fact that the students, there's no one standing up other than the band. It's a little quiet in here, and what it's going to take is maybe a dunk. Again, creating your own energy for Wisconsin.
Post touch for Ethan Happ leads to 2 points.
Xavier Peart, watching him at practice for the scout team for Grambling State, they were able to shoot over the 6'6" scout team guy over Xavier Peart. You could just see Ethan Happ just elevated above. Off the bench, Trevon Bunch, a little more athletic, so we'll see the difference between the two guarding them.
It's like a magic act there. The ball got caught behind Prince Moss's neck. Wisconsin takes advantage. Ethan Happ with an extra pass to Khalil Iverson. The knee looks pretty good for Khalil.
Look good there. Used a shot fake, got Peart out of the air. Shot fakes are going to be important because they're going to fly around. They're going to try and block shots. So the way Khalil Iverson takes that next level, if he shot fakes, goes into the body, then finishes with an and one.
Did you see how open Ethan Happ was when he got the touch in the post originally there? That's going to drive Dante Jackson nuts for Grambling State.
Well, it could early substitution potentially to get somebody else in to see how he can guard Ethan Happ. And after a rebound for Ethan, that's the ability that he has to run the offense as a 6'10" guy.
Too many steps for Khalil Iverson at the free throw line. 995 career rebounds now for Ethan Happ, 5 away of 1,000. Well, there is Dante Jackson, the second-year head coach for Grambling State. He's from Milwaukee. He had an outstanding high school career at Hamilton High School and played briefly at UW Milwaukee right before Bo Ryan and Greg Gard came to town.
Well, and Dante Jackson was recruited by Bo Ryan to Platteville. He decided he wanted to play Division I and joked a little bit that maybe he would have liked to have learned under Bo Ryan, but doing well, going from the Division II ranks all the way up to Division I now.
Nifty move inside by Dallas Polk Hilliard, who is one of the Wisconsin natives on the Grambling State team. He's a transfer from South Dakota State. This is a Grambling State team that was picked to win its conference preseason, the SWAC, the Southwestern Athletic Conference. Happ draws the double team. There's Davison. Rolls it into Khalil Iverson. On Polk Hilliard. Extra pass to Happ. He goes to the free throw line.
Nice job by Khalil Iverson using that pump fake. Xavier Peart was the guy on the help side who went over to try and block the shot. Khalil Iverson with a nice pass to Ethan Happ. And, you know, it's nice now to see Ethan Happ go to the line early to see if he can continue making free throws. As you can see, Peart came over, fell for the shot fake as the secondary defender, found Ethan Happ. 4 for 5 from the line last game. See if Ethan Happ can continue it today. Shooter's touch there.
He deserves it, I think, at this point. With the amount of work that he's putting in at the free throw line, he deserves a role like that.
He's been putting in the work. Last game he got from that 4 for 5. One of them was a bank shot, but I don't think you care as long as the ball goes through the hoop. But it says something, and he has that backspin. It's not like a corkscrew or anything weird with a side spin. It's good rotation, 2 for 2, gaining confidence. You can hear it. That's the most the crowd has cheered so far for a 2 for 2 from Ethan Happ.
Be honest. Did you ever bank in a free throw in a game?
In high school on senior day for the memory. Not in college.
I guess it serves you pretty well.
As long as it goes in.
Grambling State has Been a little sluggish offensively, but that's the big fella Xavier Peart, 6'10", 260 from Miami with some range.
Early substitution getting Charles Thomas out there. Xavier Peart's not known for his three, just maybe an early make and get them going from beyond the distance.
20-footer off the mark for Charlie Thomas. And Grambling State does like to run a little bit.
Yeah, for them, it's going to be choosing when to run and when not to run. If you run and give a quick shot, Wisconsin's then going to use the shot clock for 30 seconds, work it around, and that's just not a good recipe to come into the Kohl Center. If you take a quick shot, it's got to be a good one.
There's Kobe King, the sophomore from La Crosse. Eligibility-wise, he's just a freshman. And an aggressive take by Kobe King. Well, a good start for the Badgers. They lead Grambling State 8-5 in this pre-holiday contest.
For him, and he's able to produce, getting a triple-double at the Kohl Center, his first game of the season. Houston Baptist a couple games ago, he set the all-time rebounding record. So it's almost like, because he came back last year when he tested the NBA waters, there was going to be so many opportunities for him to break records, and they're having team success as well, which I think is got to be most important to him as he wants to put his name maybe up in the rafters one day next to the 44 hanging up there.
What's half of 44, right?
That's good math. Not my strength, but we can all do that.
It was so interesting talking to people around the Wisconsin program at practice yesterday. They say that his body language is better about him this year. That's one thing that's changed almost more than anything that's taken place on the court.
Part of that is he was really close with Nigel Hayes, Bronson Koenig, and that senior class that left. And this is a little bit of a younger team. So Ethan Happ really had to learn to assimilate with those younger guys. And they all live in the same building now. That doesn't seem like such a big deal, but to build that off-the-court chemistry, I think it's translating this year as they're 9-2 and a top 15 team in the country.
Four seconds on the shot clock as Grambling throws it in. And Lasani Johnson turns the net inside out.
He's their best three-point shooter. He shoots 52% from three. And in the scouting report, like for Wisconsin, that's the one guy that you have to know you have to be ready at all times. Right off the bench, first touch, right up and good. Getting confidence to a shooter early is never what you want.
Still to come on BTN, the full slate of hoops continues as the Huskers, Wolverines, and Hoosiers are in action. Plus, Illinois and Missouri battle in a rivalry showdown. Big Ten basketball presented by Jeep continues next right here on BTN and the Fox Sports app. Thanks for starting your day with us. Again, 5 games on the docket today, beginning with this one in Madtown. Great dish to Ethan Happ. He draws the double team. Kobe King lets it fly and hits.
All that came from touching the post. Ethan Happ got the ball. He got out to Demetric Trice. Even though Ethan Happ didn't get the assist, it was the hockey assist. It was the right play that led to an easy bucket for Wisconsin.
Such a good passer. Happ is averaging 5 assists per game. And Grambling State turns the ball over a little bit, too.
It's something that you can't come into the Kohl Center and turn the ball over and give a free possession to Wisconsin, because you'll see here Demetric Trice is going to set up the offense, and they're probably going to work it around until they get what they want. And Ethan Happ all alone, he's looking around. He's almost unguardable at this point in his career.
Working one-on-one with Xavier Peart mid-post right now. Nate Reavers on the floor for the first time for Wisconsin. Happ. Good with either hand, too. I know that was off the mark.
Good with either hand, but Dante Jackson in practice yesterday said, if we can get him shooting shots around that big logo in the paint, we've done our job. That was a farther left-hand hook, not deep in the paint.
Johnson off the mark, rebound to Wisconsin. And another thing that Coach Jackson said, too, is that if Ethan Happ gets a post touch and then passes it out, that's a win for Grambling.
That's a win, and a lot of the work against Ethan is done away from the ball. You have to beat him to spots. So Xavier Peart, Trevon Bunch, they're going to get rotated on him. And that offensive rebound, I don't know what's going on there underneath, but that offensive rebound led to the 3 because Nate Reavers came from the secondary help, tried to block the shot, got out of position, and then it was an all-out scramble for Wisconsin. The easiest 3 in basketball is that offensive rebound kick out. And you saw that from Devontae Jackson right there.
Devontae Jackson, who played high school basketball at Brown Deer here in Wisconsin. As he goes, so does the rest of the Grambling State team, in the words of his coach. Kobe King's already hit from 3 today. He's 2 for 2.
From a percentage standpoint, Grambling State's doing the right thing. Kobe King struggled to shoot the ball as of late, but he hit his first one. A confident young man who's got a lot of potential, career high in his last game. The more they can get production out of him, consistent production, it will pay dividends for them later on.
Well, the shooters have shown up so far today for both teams. That missed three-pointer by Devontae Jackson notwithstanding. Grambling is 4 for its last 8 from the floor. What a spin move by Happ. He's got those long arms to reach under the basket.
Ethan Happ, from the moment he's been at campus, getting the ball on the block, and he hasn't gone baseline yet. It was like he was setting him up. It's like everything is calculated in his move. Everything was towards the middle, spun baseline, and just has a knack to find the basket and the angle to get the basket.
Whatever you're doing defensively against Ethan Happ, it seems like he has the answer for it. Rebound to Brevin Pritzel. Six points so far for Ethan Happ.
What I've liked from Wisconsin is, although that this is a team, Grambling State, with size, they haven't gone away from going down low where they've had success all year.
Polk Hilliard on Happ. Rebound to King. Kobe King with 8 points already for Wisconsin. Badgers have been a very tough opponent for non-conference foes at home in particular. They've won about 90% of their games since 2009 in the non-conference portion of the season.
And that's something I've loved from Kobe King. Each game that he plays, he's getting his hands on offensive rebound. He didn't get that one this time, but watch that throughout the game. He's going to keep it alive, although Coach Gard would like if he could grab it.
It's a blocking foul underneath, and it goes on Reavers.
Ethan Happ just doing what he's been doing for 4 years, setting people up, gone to the middle all game, spun baseline, finds a way. Badgers up 7 early.
And company this season. The Badgers are off to a 9-2 start alongside Ben Brust. Chris Foster's on hand. You've got the box score in front of you, Ben. Some marks that you've made, I see, with your pen there. What jumps out to you as we see Dallas Polk Hilliard hit a free throw?
8 points from Kobe King. He's somebody who brings something different to this team. Khalil Iverson's, had a couple minutes early, looks a little bit tentative, but just for the overall success of this team moving forward, if he can bring consistent bench scoring, because right now Aleem Ford, he's coming off a knee injury. He hasn't been what we've seen in the past. Brevin Pritzel's has some big games in his career, but only shooting 30% from 3. Where are you going to find that consistent bench scorers? It's been a little bit of an issue in bigger games for Wisconsin away from the Kohl Center.
Well, that's why it was so encouraging to see Brad Davison with the 20-plus point performance against Savannah State, just seeing the ball go through the hoop a couple of times.
And the best part about Brad is he hasn't even attempted a shot 9 minutes into the game and has affected the game defensively with 2 steals, always finding a way to find ways to make Wisconsin be in a position to be successful.
Here's Davison
on cue.
Got a nice cleanup job by Nate Reavers.
This is the 3rd example of the game so far where that secondary help defender, you see Trevon Bunch come over, Brad misses the other side, Nate Reavers with an easy putback.
Both teams going to the bench a little bit here in the mid stages of the first half. There's Nigel Ribeiro with the ball for Grambling, his first time on the floor. And too tall for the 7-footer Trevon Bunch, who's from Racine, Wisconsin.
A lot of connections to Milwaukee. Dante Jackson not only is from Milwaukee, but he's trying to get a pipeline of guys. He has connections to the high schools, the AAU programs, and he credits a lot of his success to get to this point through recruiting kids from Milwaukee. Also uses the fact that it's a little bit warmer in the winter, which might be a good selling point for me.
Grambling, Louisiana, in case you didn't know, and that's an offensive foul. When we were talking to Dante Jackson about that, he said his family did consider spending Christmas here in Wisconsin, but this is good enough. This is close enough to Christmas. They're heading back down to some warmer weather after this.
You can tell he's happy to be home, and behind the bench you'll see a lot of family and people from Milwaukee who traveled over to Madison for the game and scattered throughout the crowd, so a good presence of family here, which is always good during the holiday season.
It sure is. The wife is from Toledo, Ohio, so the Midwest connections run deep.
And he's a really good coach. Being at practice yesterday, watching him coach his players, this is a team that won the regular season last year. This could be a tournament-type team that Wisconsin could end up facing early on.
In his first season at the helm of the program, he took Grambling State to a regular season conference title for the first time since 1989. Now, because of a bad APR rating that's related to academics, they were banned from competing in their own conference tournament, and so were unable to even have a chance to qualify for the NCAA tournament, which would have been a program first.
Yeah, which he inherited, but uses that as motivation to his guys. If they did it last year, they're going to have an opportunity to do it this year. But also, Dante Jackson early on, mixing in a 1-2-2, a little bit of a press. They haven't had that much success in the half court. So mixing up the game flow and seeing if they can speed Wisconsin up, turn them over, get them out of what they've been doing, because they've had success early on.
What do you think? Here we are, less than 10 minutes to go until halftime, and it's a 5-point game.
Yeah, again, like, they're in it, and they're only in it right now because they've hit a lot of three-pointers. They've missed a lot of easy shots, but rare miss from Ethan Happ. But I think that's the effect of Axel Empoyo and Trevon. More athleticism on Ethan Happ is usually your best chance to alter his shot and make him do something he doesn't do.
Later tonight, when the action ends, the Big Show takes over. Highlights from around the conference, post-game reaction straight from the arena, and in-depth expert analysis. The Big Show tonight at 10 Eastern, right here on BTN.
You see Dimitri Trice sub in for Ty Strickland. I think that's because you see them switch defenses. You need a little bit more experience, someone you can trust in the backcourt to make those good decisions. A little bit too fast at times for Ty Strickland. Again, Brad Davison affecting the game more ways than he can offensively.
And learning to play without the ball in his hands as much. Remember, after Dimitri Trice went down just 10 games into the season last year, Davison was the starting point guard for close to 30 games. With
experience playing the two-guard position here at Wisconsin, it's not exactly the easiest position to play if it's not what you're used to. Having the ball in your hands at the Wisconsin point guard position, you're going to get, and Dimitri Trice did a nice job of squaring up, getting in the shoulder, taking into the chest. But when you're the two-guard at Wisconsin, you're more in the corner. And if you cut, you don't want to get in the way of Ethan Happ in the ball and create more. I'd love to see him fire away. I think he might have against Savannah State, but with the 5-point game, he realizes he's going to do the most damage down low.
There was some length there. Trayvon Bunch stripped Ethan Happ. There's a collision on the floor.
Yeah, the length, again, affects Ethan Happ. But alarmingly, Trayvon Bunch jumped at that pump fake, and that's something that, again, it didn't work right there, but Ethan Happ is going to table that in his memory, and he's going to know if he's on me, I'm going to shot fake, and then I'm going to be able to find his angle. And just always working. He feels where guys are at. He's always looking for an angle. If he has an angle right away, he's going to take it. If he thinks he's got to work you around, maybe spin, shot fake, he uses both hands. It's really unguardable and fun to watch as someone who wasn't a really good post player. He's just got amazing feet, and that next level question is shooting. And we can discover maybe throughout the game if he works on it. If he's going to try and attempt to get an outside shot out today.
5 to shoot. And right over Ethan Happ. That one drops for Nigel Ribeiro, the senior from Chesapeake, Virginia.
A lucky break for Wisconsin. His foot was on the line, but you hear the crowd just getting into it. I think this is the effect of what it's like when the students aren't here. Everyone's just kind of watching.
Well, this was pregame. To your point, Ben, this is Ethan Happ. He's not in the post in this shot. He's working on his long-range game.
You saw it at the free throw line. He had 2 good-looking free throws, and he works on three-point shooting. That's a decent-looking shot. You see guys in the NBA that have never, ever shot threes. Brook Lopez shot 3 threes in total of 8 years. He's made over 300 threes the last 3 years, so it's something you can develop, and it's a year-by-year process.
Well, they are certainly feeding Happ in the post. He gets to the free throw line this time, where, knock on wood, he is 2 for 2 today.
It's honestly, it's really fun to watch him go to the line. I want to see what's going to happen next, because again, 4 for 5, 2 for 2 today. What's going to continue? And it looks good. It's got the backspin. Maybe I shouldn't say that.
Well, it's got the backspin, and even with that miss, remember early in his career when he would shoot it from his shoulder?
It's a simplified shot. There was so much motion. When you have motion in your shooting shot, you leave more room for error. So he's done a nice job of trying to eliminate the amount of error, and that's the 7th team foul for Grambling State already, getting in the bonus. So that's something where you'll see Dimitri Trice try and attack. You'll see the guards really attack the hips moving forward to try and get to the free throw line, where Wisconsin's a pretty good free throw shooting team.
7 points for Ethan Happ today. Wisconsin is shooting 68% on the season from the free throw line. Trice steps out to guard Ribeiro. And the blow-by leads to 2.
Nice move by Ribeiro. He basically had Dimitri Trice isolated on that lane line, found an angle, and although he's coming off the bench, Ribeiro, he's got a career high of 31 points, so someone who can score. And this Grambling State team's hanging in there tight, only down 2, and this is maybe the little bit of the layoff that Wisconsin has had, not feeling like they're in sync right now, but over the course of 40 minutes, you'll have to see who can keep up the pace.
A foul on Grambling State. Second foul on Xavier Peart. Ethan Happ closing in on 1,000 career rebounds. Big Ten basketball presented by Jeep continues next right here on BTN and the Fox Sports app. Grambling State is on a bit of a mini run here, 6-1 over Wisconsin since the Badgers had a 20-13 lead. And Wisconsin is just 4 for its last 15 from the floor.
Yeah. With Dimitri Trice and Ethan Happ, they're the only 2 guys with assists right now. And I always look around this Wisconsin team, who are going to be guys that not only can score points, but initiate offense, create opportunities for other teammates. As Ethan Happ, I have to talk about it. It looks really, really nice, and you can see over the course of the years how much work he's put in, and maybe this is the moment it clicks, getting confidence, and it's okay that missed because he's still shooting above a percentage that he was last year and getting to a spot where it's going to help the Badgers moving forward long term.
Lasani Johnson, whose dad was the #1 pick in the 1990 NBA draft out of UNLV, has 8 points today.
Hey, he's fun to watch. He's coming around screens. He's got more energy than the Kohl Center does right now. Hit his first one out of a timeout. Another out of a timeout play for Lasani, where maybe you see if Coach Jackson's trying to get opportunities for him. As I love watching Dallas Polk Hilliard rise above the rim. These are real players on this Grambling State team. Well coached. They're going to present a challenge, as you see, as this game's tied. It's not going to be a walk in the park in the Kohl Center today.
Grambling State is only 6-6 on the season, but they've won their last 2 games coming in, and they've played some Power 5 opponents already this season, LSU namely.
And not a Power 5 team, but Loyola Chicago, who's a good program, well coached. It's going to be a fight. And that was a little bit more of an aggressive move by Dimitri Trice, where it's almost like he was waiting to feel it out and getting assertive, and that's where Ivy Smith Jr. is going to come in. Ribeiro right here with the ball. The point guard matchup, who's going to be able to control the pace and initiate their offense, as Ribeiro and Johnson can really shoot.
The Badgers are looking for a stop here defensively. It comes in the form of an Aleem Ford block. Dimitri Trice hit the first field goal and the last field goal of the game so far for Wisconsin, and now he goes to the free throw line.
And Dimitri Trice is the guy just coming off the screen with assertiveness, with a mission. You saw it on the last drive to get to the free throw line as well. Wisconsin will run, and they're only going to run, and Dimitri Trice is going to take the lane if it's there. He saw an opportunity, draws the foul, and he's a really good free throw shooter. This is going to be a dogfight the whole game.
Trice has not attempted a three-point shot in the game today, but that's where he's really made hay. He's shooting 56% from long range this season. Ethan Happ has certainly made his living in red and white. Around the rim, 996 rebounds now. For Happ, he was gliding in for 997 just in case, but he was not needed.
Only 1 rebound in the first 15 minutes of the game for Ethan Happ, but despite he's only got 1 right now, he could roll off 10 in a row, and he's just got a knack for the ball. Sometimes you just can't teach the way guys can find the ball off the rim and really see where it's going to bounce off of.
He's got his hands full with the 7-1 Trayvon Bunch right now. And he tracks down rebound number 997. Not to take over the statistician's role or anything like that, but what a pass. Trice all day. Maybe too much time. Rebound to Grambling.
Looked like he fumbled it, wasn't in rhythm, and Coach Jackson setting up the offense here. See probably if he can dial up a shot for Johnson or Polk Hilliard, who's really long and athletic. Is an interesting matchup with Kobe King, but they run it for Lasani, who continues to. It's a good-looking shot, despite the fact that it missed. That's good offense from Grambling State.
998 now for Ethan Happ, and what a take by Brad Davison.
Fearless, went into the contact, maybe could have been an and one, but a nice job of using the transition as an opportunity, if there's an angle there, to get an easy bucket.
Sophomore out of Maple Grove, Minnesota, an all Big Ten freshman campaign last year, averaging just under 10 points per game this year as the third scoring option for the Badgers. Got his hand in on Devontae Jackson, and that is a travel.
And Ethan Happ, again, when Ethan Happ gets the rebound, he can lead the break, gets it to Brad Davison. There's nobody in the paint for Grambling State. Brad takes advantage and finishes against the contact. Opportunistic transition for both teams. Grambling State can run in transition as well, but picking and choosing the moment. Ethan Happ setting up his defender. That's one of those, we see how much time he takes, a lot of finding the angle, working back and forth. He saw the angle. He literally rips, goes to the rim, finishes with contact. He's got a little bit of a size advantage on bunch, finishes with contact. Using both hands, it's impossible and fun to watch.
Happ is 4 of 6 at the free throw line today. Again, his season average is a surprising 46%. That was a good-looking free throw. And any frustration that he is feeling about his free throw game right now certainly doesn't show. People around the program are frustrated on his behalf because of how much work he puts in.
Well, earlier in the game, we talked about the body language. When he's missing free throws, I think there's a confidence there. There's a, I'm going to make the next one. That's how you have to be at all times. As Aleem Ford late on the help side, as Grambling finds a nice pass for a layup. But he looks confident. He looks like someone who believes when he shoots the next free throw that it's going in, which was lacking, in my opinion, in the past.
Wisconsin is on an 8-2 run right now. This game was tied 22-22. Ford on the wing. Splash.
That was amazing work from Ethan Happ. He baited the defender to come off Aleem Ford, who was the Badgers' best three-point shooter last year, trying to gain confidence. Automatic if you give him that much space in rhythm from a pass out from Ethan Happ. Yeah.
Ethan Happ has looked good at the free throw line today. Yes, the free throw line. Here's the last look from the charity stripe for the All-American.
So I might have to keep that in mind as I go shopping tomorrow.
Wisconsin is on an 11-2 run right now to take its largest lead of the game. Remember, we were tied at 22-22. This is an upstart Grambling State team expected to win its conference and could very well find itself in the NCAA tournament field for the first time as a Division I program.
The difference between that last 4 minutes was Grambling State turned it over 2 more times than Wisconsin, giving 2 extra possessions. Ethan Happ really just getting what he wants. He's done a great job in this first half of reading the defense, whether that's his primary defender that he's going against on offense or passing it out. And that's a pretty good call by the referee as Charles Thomas was moving after the screen and bumped into Ivy Smith Jr.
First foul on Thomas. Here's the call.
So not set. Yeah, it's all about getting set. When you're Charles Thomas and this is continuously happening to you, I've seen this in multiple games, just got to be extra cautious and careful as the referees may be looking for those things as they come up with trends of different players, and that's how the hook and hold thing got started.
Dallas Polk Hilliard walked.
Nice job by Kobe King, because that was a clear out for Polk Hilliard to attack with his strong hand, with his right hand, because he's got length and size on Kobe King. Kobe King planted his feet in legal guarding position, held his ground, led to a turnover. That's their 8th now of the first half.
Grambling State averages 15 turnovers per game, and Wisconsin's defense has been excellent this year, and so has Ethan Happ.
Brevin Pritzel actually opened that up for Ethan Happ as he posted up, created space for Ethan Happ, who's a little bit quicker from the perimeter and deceptively quick, as they say, for Ethan Happ.
Largest lead of the day for Wisconsin. Credit Grambling State, they have not rushed their possessions. They haven't had many quick triggers on the half-court looks that they've gotten, but now they need to start hitting their shots.
Yeah, they haven't rushed possessions. They're running good stuff as Ethan Happ is 1 away from 1,000 rebounds. But the turnovers, that was another example of Wisconsin taking advantage of a turnover and Ethan Happ getting the bucket on the other end.
Final 2 minutes before halftime. Will Ethan Happ get to 1,000 career rebounds before the break? Grambling wanted a jump ball.
They got a pretty good job by the referee of making sure that, despite the fact that it looked like there might be arm, he had two hands on the ball, and I like rewarding players who put their face in there and grab the ball. Yeah, again, he's got the ball, though it might look like a foul. Sometimes referees, do call fouls on things that are perception, but that one was a good job of really reacting to the play.
Trice rises and fires. That was a 2. Now let's take a look at this message from ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire and the official hiring partner of the Big Ten Conference.
Hiring delays were causing work to pile up. That's not smart. But you know what is smart? Using ZipRecruiter. They find people with the right skills, education, and experience for my job and actively invite them to apply. So I got qualified candidates fast. No wonder ZipRecruiter is rated #1 by employers in the U.S.
ZipRecruiter, official hiring partner of the Big Ten Conference. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/Big10.
A fantastic Kohl Center crowd. The students are gone on break, but the house is still packed with people returning to the Madison area for break. And, Ben, you wanted to take a look at this inbounds pass again.
Wisconsin typically not known for a team that runs end line out of bounds play to score. Demetric Trice came off the handoff. He noticed, watch Ivy Smith here. Ivy Smith is going to go underneath. That's just enough space. That's too much space for that good of a shooter, and Demetric Trice rises above, and that's the difference now of what he's been able to do. Not just make threes, but create plays in the mid-range game, getting to the rim earlier and getting fouled. He's a difference maker for this team this year as he's made that jump. Even though he's a redshirt sophomore, getting the experience those 2 years and having to save that year from the injury is huge for him.
Well, and he has all but forgotten the injury that derailed his season last year because of how good he's been this year for Wisconsin. And that wasn't necessarily a guarantee at the start of the season when practice began.
No, and he was going up against Brad Davison, who's not a natural point guard. But with what he had been able to do with Demetric out, there was going to be a competition. And competition in practice and amongst your team gets the best out of people. And the three-point field goal percentage, people might look at 56% and say, wow, that's just really high because of early season games. This is a Badger team that played Xavier in the Gavitt games, went to the Bahamas and played Oklahoma, Virginia, Stanford, a ton of Power 5 opponents, a team with a ton of Power 5 wins. So to do that against the competition and to have that percentage that high is no fluke.
Who was the guy that pushed you in practice to get better?
Pushed me in practice. He literally pushed me because he was a hack. Jordan Taylor didn't know how to not use his hands when he was playing. But again, that made me better because I knew how to play through the contact because it taught me in practice.
He had a pretty good career, right?
Yeah, he's still playing his overseas for his 8th year now, getting old, but an All-American nonetheless.
Ethan Happ, 2 flush.
Yeah, just a mismatch down low, and Wisconsin noticed. You had Nigel Ribeiro underneath on Ethan Happ. They threw it over the top, and just so versatile.
5th-year senior Ethan Happ pursuing his master's degree this year. Picked up his bachelor's degree in May, and he certainly looks like a master's candidate on the basketball floor as well. Double team underneath. How did Polk Hilliard get that shot away?
Because he's got length. Watching him in practice yesterday, watching him in live game today, he plays above the rim. Looks like he's got a 6'9" wingspan. And, a fun matchup in Kobe King, who's a little bit smaller and not as you can see, he got the rebound as well. Polk Hilliard with 4 double-doubles, someone who, this is a kind of player that's so good to go against right now when you head into Big Ten play, because he reminds me of a Charles Matthews on Michigan. He reminds you of so many guys that you're going to face that are relentless on the offensive glass, who rebound well, that it's almost like you're playing in a conference game right now.
Well, this is the final chance to see if Ethan Happ gets to the millennium mark in rebounds before halftime. Polk Hilliard did not seem aware of that. That is a shot clock violation, and Wisconsin has 0.7 of a second to play with.
See if Coach Gard uses the use or lose it timeout. Refs might take a look to see if the clock was synced up with the shot clock there, so they can allow them time to get a decent look off with a short amount of time.
Let's take a look at just how close it was between, not only was the shot away before the shot clock expired, but then just how much time was left on the clock.
Pretty quick decision here from the referees.
They should put some time back on, right?
1.2 on the clock for the Badgers, and that's enough time for one dribble or a quick dribble. I wouldn't risk it. And now Coach Gard taking advantage of that use or lose it 30-second timeout to draw something up. Where if I was Coach Gard, and I'm not, I would look to Dimitri Trice, trying to get him in a rhythm, coming around a screen so he can go towards the basket. I would say look inside, but there is enough length on this Grambling State team where if you throw it all the way down the court, they could get a hand on it right away.
Now, in the Michigan game your junior year, when you hit the shot at the end of the second half to force overtime, how much time was on the clock?
2.4 on the clock. And Coach Gard, in asking that question, Chris, these are situations that Wisconsin will do. I don't know if they did at the end of practice, but I wouldn't be surprised over that 9-day break if they practice situations so they have a play ready to go right here, and we'll see what they come up with. The quarterback taking it out, no surprise.
That's true. Brad Davison, a standout high school quarterback in Minnesota. There's the pass. It's tipped up.
Whoa, what a play, though. You can see they screened for Ethan to try and get him open. Brad looked like it was going to go in from our angle, but right to Ethan.
This is where Ethan Happ stands on the career rebounds list. 999 for the big man from Milan, Illinois. He's already the program leader in career rebounds. Now he can become the first in program history to reach 1,000. Oh, by the way, he's got some pretty nifty moves underneath, too. Badgers by 12 at halftime. Helpers like Kobe King that he maybe didn't have to this extent last year.
When it was 22-22, Wisconsin did what they always do. They go to Ethan Happ. He sized up this Grambling State defense, and throughout the whole first half, it started a little bit slow. He wasn't making the best decisions, but then he found out where he was going to go, whether he was going to kick it out for a three, whether he was going to attack right away off the dribble. So just it's so fun to watch because he sees so many defenses. So it's almost like he sizes them up like a boxer, and in the late rounds, he then is tactical and able to figure out how to be successful the most.
Once again, Ethan Happ is one rebound away from 1,000 for his career. Maybe it comes right here. It's tied up with Devontae Jackson. There's a miss, but Nate Reavers steals that rebound away. Khalil Iverson back on the floor for Wisconsin. He did start the game today. Happ bangs his way inside and goes to the free throw line.
It's so fun to watch the progression of that play. They got it into him in the high post and right around the big logo. Kept spinning, working him. He knows he has quickness on Xavier Peart. Little shot fake, jump in the air, and that is just classic Ethan Happ. And more time to enjoy the free throw progression, see if he can get to 75% on the game.
5 for 7 in the first half.
I was going to say, there might be a lane violation on Polk Hilliard here. As he was leaning and grabbed on to Khalil Iverson to try and help him not go forward. Just couldn't stop himself.
So another chance for Ethan Happ at the line. Short again, Prince Moss with the rebound.
Trying to talk Ethan up on the free throws. He's got to help me out, Ethan.
Maybe we should let it breathe for a little bit.
We're going to let the free throw narrative go now.
This is Dallas Polk Hilliard, one of Grambling State's better players. He gets tangled up in the lane and draws the foul.
A lot of these Grambling State players really like to go to their strong hand. You saw Devontae Jackson on the first play. He went hard to the rim with his right hand. Polk Hilliard squared up and was just trying to set Khalil Iverson up just to get an angle, used his length to create a foul.
In some ways, Dallas Polk Hilliard is the Ethan Happ of the SWAC. He's the conference leader in double-doubles. Ethan Happ is actually the national leader in double-doubles.
And I love what Coach Jackson is doing right now. He's talking to Trevon Bunch on the benches. He knows he's going to have to be a guy who's going to come in to stop Ethan Happ because Xavier Peart just isn't a matchup that's working well early on.
Peart's got 3 fouls, too.
Looks like Bunch might be feeling on his leg and trying to see if he's able to go back in first off. Going to try and get Ethan Happ on a cross screen from Davison open.
Happ and Reavers sharing the floor inside for Wisconsin. That's a turnover.
Khalil Iverson has to read that the defender stayed to help Ethan Happ. If he ball fakes and looks him off, the Nate Reavers, who set the cross screen, could have been open. And Khalil Iverson with 4 turnovers in the start of the Marquette game. You can see an early substitution. Kobe King probably coming in for the same sort of mistake, and he had a turnover in the first half right away as well.
10 to shoot. Ivy Smith Jr. fends off Demetric Trice and throws up a wild shot. That is rebound number 1,000 for the big man, Ethan Happ. Congratulations. Brad Davison on a great dish. Keeps the good vibes rolling.
Demetric Trice did a good job of getting into the paint. He let guys cutting to the rim go through. Grambling State kind of shifted towards the cutters, leaving Brad Davison open for a 3.
And a steal.
Brad
got a lot of those,
third
too.
of the game, correct.
Trice. And a quick timeout called by Grambling State. Bit of a run for the Badgers, keyed by that guy. 1,000 career rebounds. 1,000th rebound, Ben.
Yeah, it's incredible. Coming over to block the shot. The way he plays is so hard. And when you play hard, you find yourself in position to get rebounds. Rebounds are more about effort. You see guards get rebounds. You see a guy like Nate Reavers who doesn't get as many rebounds as Ethan Happ, who has the size. It's just all about the work he's put in. And this is why he came back. And what's cool about seeing him get all of these individual accolades is that Wisconsin is right now up 19. His team is the 16th ranked team in the country and 2-0 in Big Ten play. So setting his eyes on those individual awards with the opportunity to do it in a successful season is, I think, going to make it even more special for him.
And to continue to put this in a little bit of perspective for you, only 4 players in the country since 1982 have logged 1,000 career rebounds. He's the 15th player in the history of the Big Ten Conference with 1,000 rebounds. What a pick by Ivy Smith Jr.
1,001 now, if you had. You turn your head and the ball goes up, and he could, again, be coming over to help and get over there for the rebound.
Foul on the floor there. And January 3rd on BTN, conference play resumes for the Badgers when they welcome the rival Gophers to Madison. Big Ten basketball presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. January 3rd right here on BTN and the Fox Sports app. Wisconsin's got a lot of wins over Power 5 opponents this year, and so does Minnesota. That's going to be a great game.
Wisconsin has 6 Power 5 wins. Minnesota has 5. And what happened in football was the axe went away in that rivalry game. And so when Minnesota comes to town, Brad Davison, Nate Reavers, 2 Minnesota guys, a lot of recruiting ties to both of those teams where it's going to be a juiced-up game and both playing for something pride-wise and for the record-wise.
Nate Reavers, who also happens to be a Minnesota guy, had that one change its mind halfway down. Don't remind me about the axe.
Yeah, it's something that probably breaks Badger fans' heart more than anything. Why did we bring that? Why did we do that?
Here's Dallas Polk Hilliard, guarded by Kobe King.
The exact same play from the first half. A really nice job by Kobe King. Even though Dallas Polk Hilliard still got to his right hand, he made him go deep and shoot a floater in the deep corner. Great progression of defense by Kobe King, who's still learning to play in this defensive system.
10 games played as a freshman last year before a season-ending injury. Goes to the free throw line here, and maybe just now he's starting to pick up where he left off last season.
And this is a whole isolation play, hands up, chesting high, didn't let him get into the space. He forced the defender away by not fouling, which is hard to do. A lot of times you'll see defenders put their hands on guys, and the rest will be looking to call that as soon as possible.
8 first-half points for the redshirt freshman out of La Crosse Central, coming off his first career start 9 days ago against Savannah State.
You can hear that through the mic as Brad Davison, relentless, up 20 right now on defense, communicating to his team, making sure they stay in it at all times.
Grambling State has been ice cold to start the second half. With 2 to shoot. Barely draws iron. Offensive rebound, Axel Empoyo.
Nice frame, nice body. He leads the SWAC and blocks, and you can tell as he got that offensive rebound, he has got that length to cause some havoc on the offensive glass and get a putback.
That was Grambling's first bucket of the second half. Reavers at the free throw line. That was a flat-footed shot.
Well, he stepped right into it. He missed a 3 earlier that was halfway down, and for him to have that confidence to take a one-dribble step into it, jump shot and knock it down is pretty impressive for the young man.
And an offensive foul. 20-point lead for the Badgers. They're cruising in the second half. Since defense has really put the clamps on Grambling.
Grambling shooting 4 of 9 from 3, which is over 40%, but really struggled from 2. And it was 22-22 with about 7 minutes left in the first half. And they've just been able to really put the clamps down and really lock in defensively here.
Grambling 7 points in about 12 minutes of game time now. They're 3 of 14 from the field in that span.
And similar to the first half, Wisconsin really had their way early on in the half-court offense. They switched up the defense, a little bit of a token pressure to take some time off the clock. A nice move by Brad Davison.
He goes to the line. The foul goes on Lasani Johnson. Has he looked more comfortable to you playing without the ball in his hands?
Well, it's something that's not going to happen overnight, but absolutely. And he's not forcing it. I think that's where he got in trouble. He's 2 for 3 from the floor. He took the 1-3 early in the second half that came naturally to him. Whereas in games past, you could see that he almost felt like he had to do something. He's affecting the games in other ways. He's got 3 steals right now defensively. He's talking out there. He's a presence. And as that emotional leader, he is for this team. He can just do things that, motivate the team, and he just doesn't have to be the guy doing them. Still hear him. I still hear him helping, setting his team up and a lean forward, taking it right in the chest.
Plays with so much spirit, so much energy. Second foul on Axel Empoyo, by the way.
I don't want to call my shot here, but something that I always look for with this token pressure is when they do have pressure, can you match up in the half court? Brevin Pritzel, a guy who has been pretty quiet. I don't think he's attempted a shot. Only played about 10 minutes, but he's important to get going as well. He's got a career high of 20 points, or he's capable. He did it in a Big Ten game as right on cue, knocked it down.
I think you did call your shot there.
I called my shot a little bit, but it wasn't the way that I thought.
Well, that was really interesting just to hear the communication that goes on.
And fun to watch how they work together as a team. Charles Thomas stepping out with a hand as 2 guys come around staggers. Aleem Ford did put 2 hands on the defender and fouled him. But you could see that Brad had an opportunity to come get a steal. It's so fun to watch a defensive team work in unison.
And let's listen to see who talks now that Davison's off the floor. Great play, Brevin Pritzel. Trice pulls it back out.
Going back to the defensive possession, you heard players yelling trapdoor. That's a certain play that they prepped in on scout where they were able to realize that the top guy had to come help.
Foul picked up by Nigel Ribeiro, the senior, his 3rd. Who is a real vocal guy on the defensive teams that you played on?
Vocal guy early on, it was Jordan Taylor. He was the captain. And then thinking about Josh Gosser, he was the best defensive player, but not only was the best defensive player, he knew everything about each team, where like if there was a switch, he knew it was coming before even the offensive team knew it. It felt like at times. So really prepping players, and you need the big guys, because if you think about it, the 4 and the 5 men, they're the ones that are looking at everything in front of them, so they can really see and direct the guards of what they need to watch out for.
6 points for Aleem Ford. And a timeout called by Dante Jackson and Grambling State.
30-second timeout.
Why is communication so important on the defensive end?
Well, because a lot of the times, again, the guards who are up on the top of the key, running around screens, they can't see everything. So if a big guy can help them out, they can then become aware and react accordingly. And Wisconsin has really strict rules where they're always trying to make sure they're helping, but not getting too extended, where when they're too extended, then they leave slips open for the other team. And Grambling State, they're running really nice things. Coach Jackson's doing a really nice job with this team. They've run good stuff, but Wisconsin is just showing the steps that they've made from last year. They've lost a lot of games last year that they would have lost this year. And this is the maturity and the progression of this team that you continue to see on and on.
The Badgers are back on defense, and we'll listen in again. What'd you think?
Well, Brevin Pitzel kind of just fell and opened up one of the best three-point shooters for Grambling State. So it doesn't always go according to plan. But I talked about it a little bit earlier. Charles Thomas with his second of the game of an illegal moving screen, where it's something you got to learn as a player and adjust. The refs are looking for you to do that, especially if you did it earlier in the game.
Peart for 2. And one thing that I noticed on that possession specifically, Ben, was when there was a switch. Kobe King and Brevin Pitzel switched a defender there, and you could hear that communication. That was really interesting.
Yeah, and sometimes it's the way Wisconsin's going to try and do things as well. You're not always going to be able to talk, because you're going to be on a road environment when you're playing defense. When they want the crowd, they're all fired up. You need to be able to communicate by body movements and just realizing and having that knowledge non-communication wise with your team, that if you see someone who's in trouble, you can just pick them up and they know almost telepathically that they need to switch.
Do you enjoy playing defense?
I hated it until I got here, because I didn't play as a freshman. So, and that's where I kept bringing up Kobe King, despite the fact that it's not Bo Ryan on the sidelines. It's Greg Gard, who he learned from, over the course of 30 years as his assistant, where you have to earn your way onto the floor. He's had a lot of talent coming out of high school. Again, Mr. Basketball to Wisconsin, but that doesn't earn you playing time. Putting your body on the line, putting in the right positions, being able to switch and be in those, not putting your teammate in a predicament where you messed up. And I've seen progression early on from him where he might not have had it early in the season.
Well, there's a triple try for Dimitri Trice. That's his first three-point attempt of the game, and he's shooting 56% from 3 this season, and it's a large sample size too. And
it was only a matter of time. You saw him confident early on, hitting 2-point jumpers, and a couple of threes went in and out. So it's something where, again, the point guard at Wisconsin, especially Dimitri Trice moving into that point guard spot from Brad Davison, they have to make plays. And especially when Ethan Happ's on the floor, the offense is not being facilitated through him. Someone's got to facilitate that offense.
Brevin Pitzel. Rebound to Grambling. Peart with a touch, yes, on Charlie Thomas. No shot there, but a foul called on the Badgers.
Despite the fact they're down 13 to Columbia, it feels weird saying this. They're a team that you can't sleep on. They have talent. Geo Baker and the way Steve Peichel coaches, they're going to be in every game because of the way they defend. It's just finding those other scoring options for them.
4 more games on the Big Ten Network today, too, so we're just getting started. And the Badgers are rolling right now over Grambling State. They are on a 40-11 run since the 7-11 mark in the first half.
I'm going to give Dante Jackson some credit. Every time they come out of a timeout, he has a good play run. And that's Sonny Johnson again hitting a jump shot out of a timeout.
Wisconsin is now in the bonus. Anthony Gaskin picks up a foul. And that was something that you noticed about the way that Dante Jackson ran his practice when we observed last night.
There's more to this team than this game. It's for him, for Coach Jackson and his team, it's about putting the message in now. So if they can start accomplishing some of those little things, he's really preaching the little things, jumping to the ball, beating guys to the spot. It's going to be hard to do that against a team that might be stronger and bigger. But if you can instill those habits, that's the reason why they won their conference in the regular season last year, because he does such a great job of teaching his players. Some coaches who used to play don't always do a good job and know how to communicate to the players, but everyone speaks so highly of him, and I've really enjoyed the way he's coaching his players.
You might not know this, but Grambling State actually had the longest win streak in the country last year. They ripped off 11 in a row and brought a lot of those players back this year. Here's Riberio. Pritzel, the rebound.
Ethan Happ back on the floor. We'll see what kind of offense they facilitate through him here.
Pritzel underneath.
And that's what Coach Jackson was teaching in practice yesterday. They started hugging their men. If you hug your man against Wisconsin, you're going to get screened and you're going to be late over to the other side. So a well-executed play by Wisconsin.
And the bench has really come to play today for Wisconsin as we've tried to explore who the third and fourth scoring options will be for Wisconsin. It looks like they've got a couple different options in that regard.
They do have options. They have guys who in Big Ten games have done some things. You know, Khalil Iverson had scored 17 points 3 times in his career, most recent against Iowa. Brevin Pritzel 20, and Dimitri Trice obviously showing it.
Well, it's time now for our State Farm assist of the game, courtesy of Charlie Thomas.
You see there, no one was ready for the help side. A nice screen. Brevin Pritzel had position, knew he didn't need the pump fake, because when you're hugging the guy and you get screened, it's just too late. And that's what Coach Jackson, it's too late. If you're not there, you're too late. If you're not thinking about it, you're done. And a perfect example of how his coaching, he can then talk about it in practice. He can now show the film the next game, the next time they are all together, and keep teaching, because this team has some talent.
You can score all the points in the world, he said, and if you're not playing defense, you're going to get run out of the gym. Happ, by the way, 7 of 10 at the free throw line today. 19 points. Polk Hilliard.
He's got something to prove. He's a Milwaukee kid, got some family here. It's the holidays. I'd be doing the same thing right now. He just hit his last one. He has a ton of talent and athleticism. One of my favorite guys to watch on this Grambling State team is he plays above the rim.
Happ around Bunch, too strong. Here comes Grambling.
And Bunch, another a product of the Milwaukee area. And as Hilliard goes, a little heat check.
Not quite in rhythm on transition,
but helping add to the Ethan Happ rebounding fund.
Yes, which, let's be honest, could probably fund some full-ride scholarships at this point. Over 1,000 career rebounds for Happ. Nice
job by Bunch there, being able to chest up and not fall for a fake, and Ethan Happ kicked out. That's what they want to accomplish.
Is that a three-pointer? It's a miss.
Again, this is what we were talking about, Chris. That looked good. It had a little bit of backspin. It hit the rim and the backboard. Didn't come off hard. You can develop a shot over time if you have the foundation and the mechanics. It's a short, simple, more simple stroke than it was before. I hope he does it again.
Five to shoot. To a cutting Shaq Matthews into the game. For the first time, he got the shot to fall and goes to the free throw line. Well, you mentioned the crowd noise when Ethan Happ put up that three-pointer. It sounded pretty good. yesterday, and you said he looked pretty impressive.
I was very impressed with him and what he brought to the practice squad. Because if you think about how Ethan Happ got to be as good as he is, and if you think about how a lot of Wisconsin players get better, it's through that scout team. And not only will Micah Potter be a good scout team player, because he's going to push Nate Reavers, he's going to push Ethan Happ, and you can't teach Big Ten experience. Joe Hedstrom, who's on the bench for the Badgers, is still young and developing. Micah Potter's been battling against Nick Ward, and you name any player in the Big Ten, he's been out there, and you can't teach that. So he's dunking all over people. It was fun to see what he could bring. As Ethan Happ is done this year, where are you going to look to with the low post?
It will certainly be the end of an era when Ethan Happ moves on from the program. Tip pass, turnover, Wisconsin. And I think about two things that you said that really have to come together for a transfer to be successful. It has to be right fit for the player, and there has to be a need for the program.
Real quick, a lot of people are upset by that call. It's actually a good call. Brad Davison went over the half-court line and then came back. Just a little bit of a sticky shuffle there, but you have to fit the program. It seemed like when he went on his visit, he really enjoyed the players on the team. There was some camaraderie there, hearing about how they all lived together, and then the need from a basketball standpoint, and that all fit together. Where it was a no-brainer for this team as Hilliard Polk knocks down his third triple of the second half.
17 points for the standout player at Milwaukee Mesmer High School. I also thought, too, that the fact that the players are all living together this year is one of the little things that Greg Gard has started to get back to as he's gotten comfortable in his skin as the head coach, bringing some of those program elements back that maybe had slipped through the cracks a little bit recently.
Yeah, and not only do they all live together or in the same building, they're with each other, and they go to breakfast. They play, I don't know, Fortnite or whatever all the kids do nowadays, in which that creates a level of trust. And when you trust somebody off the court, as corny and cliche as it sounds, it makes a difference. And when a program's built around that, and you found success of going to back-to-back Final Fours, and when the storylines of those Final Fours are how fun the team was and how they got along, I don't think that's just a coincidence.
So are you putting yourself in the old man category now? You reference the kids. I
guess I haven't played video games since college. I do miss Mario Kart battles, but I got to move on in life sometime.
Trayvon Bunch with the made free throw. I tell you what, your shot looks pretty good. Saw that last night.
Every now and again we'll get out there and have some fun with it, but
shake off the rust a little bit.
Like I always say, the dream is done. Ty Strickland in the ball game, and this is good for a young freshman to gain experience. He played pretty well against Savannah State, had a career high, I believe, 14, but seeing him run the offense, facilitate the offense in a time period, you see Wisconsin's going to carve them up. They're going to use all 30 seconds of the shot clock as he creates an angle, and
after a tip rebound, there's a foul. Number 4 on Nigel Ribeiro, who was back in the day the conference freshman of the year. That was in 2016.
And for Ty Strickland as well, it's not only running the offense in this situation, but learning when to go to the rim. Just figuring out, was that a great time with 12 on the shot clock? Could you have gotten that with 6 left and maybe worked it around a little bit more? Set up a ball screen where you could space out the team and just figure out how to facilitate the offense.
And for a freshman, a lot of times the speed change going to the college game is a big adjustment, but for Strickland, you were saying that he needs to work on slowing down a little bit.
Yeah, he can definitely play fast. He beat his man, got to the rim. It's probing. It's watch Ivy Smith here, the senior guard with the ball. He's going to set his guy up, and it wasn't the best pass in the world, trying to find angles and stepping back.
9 different players have scored today for Wisconsin.
As you can see, Aline being very patient. He easily could have took that shot, set it up, and worked it around and got a better look for Kobe King.
Out of bounds, and it stays with Wisconsin.
Looking at Coach Gard now. What's Coach Gard doing? There's 5 minutes left in a game that they're most likely going to win here. Is he still teaching? Who's he talking to? It's mostly the young guys right now, as this is a valuable experience that you can't teach.
Reavers goes to the free throw line. It was really interesting talking to people at practice yesterday about Nate Reavers. More than a few people think that an all Big Ten season is in his future.
Oh, absolutely. He had 9 blocks against Stanford. He's really rangy, doesn't look the most athletic, but as he grows into this weight that he put on those 25 pounds over the season. He's got a great stroke. The first 3 that he took went in and out. Then he stepped into a 1-dribble jump shot that's not exactly the easiest shot for a 6'10" fella, and just I like his future, and it's not always easy, to be honest, to play with Ethan Happ. Ethan Happ has the ball in his hands so much. He's probing all around to be that tall and have to kind of hang around the outside and not be in position down low because you don't want to bring your man to Ethan. It's just learning how to develop over time.
And Reavers had some great development time at the end of last year when he started 15 of the final 18 games. That's really carried over into his true sophomore season. Strickland the rebound.
It's a lot to like in Ty Strickland.
Here is our In the Net presented by Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. And there have been some great possessions, great touches for Ethan Happ today.
It had success on that 22 when it was tied all at 22-22. They kept going to him, and he was an associate of passing it out for threes, finding different ways to find angles, whether it's driving, whether it's posting up. I would have loved, let's just say, to play with Ethan Happ if he drew as much attention. It's a shooter's dream as he's unselfish and kicks it out, and a lot of his assists lead to threes, which is always a positive. Having fun doing it too.
The only player in the country right now averaging at least 17 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists per game. We mentioned the 1,000 rebounds. You could go on and on.
Yeah, the accolades just go on. And Coach Gard, obviously, using this opportunity to rest Khalil Iverson, who started and played, and any chance you can get to rest before the Big Ten season is important. As Aleem Ford getting to where he was last year, 3 for 4 from the 3. So far today, 40% last year, helping that bench. I know I keep talking about that, but it's something that I feel is a big-time need to be consistent for the Badger team.
There's a step-up 3 for Ty Strickland. An air ball. Kobe King read that well.
That's a teaching moment right there. I think any coach in America, up in this position, stepping into a 3 that is not really in rhythm isn't exactly what you want from your point guard. You want to work that around, find the better looking shot. He's capable of hitting that, but it's just time and score, understanding the situation.
This is the equivalent of a 4-minute offense for Wisconsin right now. Up by 30 with under 4 minutes to go in the game. Bleeding clock is the theme. Changed its mind, and it's poked back out to King.
Offensive rebound, set it up, working around.
Turned away by Trayvon Bunch. Wisconsin looks to put the finishing touches on a Christmas holiday
Team in the Big Ten, hands down. The way John Beilein the last 2 years has got his team to defend. And then I watched them against South Carolina put up 89 points. I was like, oh, he's still got the offensive magic that he's been able to produce over the years as a coach. And Michigan State's a really, really deep team. They're able to rotate those bigs. Xavier Tillman, Kenny Goins, Nick Ward. They all play around 20 minutes a game, but they produce like they're playing 40. I love deep teams in a deep 20-game season.
So Michigan is the clear front runner right now in the conference, but the other teams that you saw in that graphic, Wisconsin, Ohio State, Michigan State, are they all in the second tier, would you say?
I really am right now putting Michigan and Michigan State in that top tier, and Wisconsin being right there, I think, as they proved getting those Power 5 wins throughout the course of the non-conference, that they're up there. And then I'm still waiting to see a little bit more out of Ohio State. I mean, what Chris Holtman's been able to do has been unbelievable, thinking he got the job like a year and a half ago in a weird time that coaches usually don't get the job in the middle of a recruiting season in July. But yeah, you see the net rankings, and everyone talks about that right now. the Big Ten has so many teams in the top 40 of that where I don't care if you know what net rankings mean or not. It's a good thing for the Big Ten when you had 4 teams make the tournament last year, and right now there's 8 to 9 teams, even maybe 10 teams that have the potential to do so.
This certainly seems like a bounce-back year for the Big Ten. And remember, the net rankings are what the NCAA Selection Committee is using to fill out its bracket. They are no longer using RPI. They are using net rankings. And the average net ranking for the Big Ten right now is just about 41st in the country. That's very impressive.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, again, if you know what that means. It's what the committee, and a lot of times the schools that are on the last 4 in, last 4 out, they're sweating. Well, the way you do that is just get those road wins. There's so many opportunities nowadays where Wisconsin last year wasn't able to get those Thanksgiving tournament wins. Then when they were down in Kansas City, they go to the Bahamas. They beat Oklahoma, who is really, really good. They just had a nice comeback win in overtime against Northwestern, Stanford, and then a tough game against Virginia. But you're challenging yourself. You're helping the strength of schedule. You're helping the resume early, so you don't have to be part of those conversations if you're on the bubble or not.
Walk-on Michael Ballard is at the free throw line. Wisconsin is in the double bonus. And now 11 players have scored for Wisconsin as Ballard, the redshirt sophomore from Oak Park, Illinois, just outside of Chicago.
The best part about it is look at the guys on the bench get so excited for the guy that is battling with them at every practice, and it speaks to the level of fun that they have together and this togetherness we've been talking about all game.
Yes.
Lasani Johnson just has a smooth stroke.
13 points for Johnson, native of Dallas, Texas. He wants to be a broadcaster, by the way, Ben. Bunch the rebound for Grambling State. And thrown away.
Another 30 seconds to find the angle and carve up the defense.
Looking ahead for Wisconsin, they've got another tough non-conference game to round out that portion of the schedule. Ballard couldn't get the roll, and it's on the road against Western Kentucky.
Well, at home last year, it took a charge on an out-of-bounds play from Brad Davison, which got them the victory. So that's not an easy place to go down to, Bowling Green, especially after a holiday. You had too much food, got to see the family, maybe lose a little bit of focus. As you saw, it was a little bit of a slower start off the 9-day break. But Coach Gard, he knows what he's doing. He's getting his guys rest. And Minnesota, that's a rivalry game. Going to Happy Valley, that is never an easy thing. Purdue has Carson Edwards. I would just want to be at that game from a fan standpoint, seeing 2 of the best players in the Big Ten. Carson Edwards is an unbelievable scorer, putting up 40 on the road at Texas, him and Ethan Happ. And then they do have a date with Michigan coming in here, I believe, on the 19th, which I think that game against Michigan is where you really, really see where Wisconsin is. It doesn't matter if that Michigan's traveling to the Kohl Center, and the crowd will show up for that, and all the students will be back, I believe, around then. I'm so excited to see if they're able to keep getting better and create that resume even more.
There's a teardrop for Ty Strickland, and you should see if you've got any eligibility left for that Penn State game. I know you always played well there.
Well, it's done. It's done. If I had a 5th year, I'd probably come back for golf, but I wouldn't make the team.
What about dance? I know your dad was a disco dance.
How did you find out
right?
my dad was a disco dance teacher?
I listened to your show.
Unfortunately, I don't have any rhythm at all. I did not get that from him.
You've got shooting rhythm.
That's about it. No dancing rhythm. It's fun to watch him break it down. Let me say that. Disco dance teacher. You in the weeds. I appreciate that.
You got to tune into Scalzo and Brust when you're in the Madison area. Great show. One more look for Lasani Johnson. Dad won a national championship at UNLV under Jerry Tarkanian back in 1990.
I think what I appreciate from Dante Jackson is you see his guys are still playing hard. They're still defending. They're still into the game despite the fact that they're not going to win this game, but they know they can keep working on things to get better. It just speaks to the level of commitment and just pride that he has for his program.
One last look for Strickland, and pulled down by Dallas Polk Hilliard. Final possession of the ball game. Finally pulled in by Aline Ford, and that does it. Another impressive non-conference win for Wisconsin as they handled Grambling State. After exams, there were some questions about how sharp Wisconsin would look. Coming off a 9-day layover, and they look crisp in a win over Grambling State. Well, that does it from here in Madison. Stay tuned. The Nebraska and Cal State Fullerton contest is coming up. This has been an exclusive presentation of the Big Ten Network. For Ben Brust and our wonderful crew, I'm Chris Foster saying so long and happy holidays.